All right, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Survive to Thrive. Super glad that you're here. Glad to be home from my one-day visit to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Very successful event, and we're going to talk about the same thing that I talked about in the 30 minutes that I had yesterday. Pricing ahead of the market. All right, so the market is shifting, and for those of you who are watching on YouTube, the group that I'm speaking to is my Survive to Thrive group coaching group that we meet every day. And they've been hearing me talk about this for probably a year now. So it's not new to them, maybe new to you. When a real estate market shifts, it moves from a buyer's market to a seller's market, from a seller's market to a buyer's market. We're shifting. And one of the things that we know about a market shift is it happens slowly and then it happens suddenly. And right now, I would say that we're in that suddenly stage. And what I mean by that is, in speaking to my group here before we started the recording, we're seeing listings that are sitting. We're seeing listings that are sitting for a long time, and we're seeing more listings going on the market. Now, listings are always going on the market. So let me explain what I mean by more. Gina, I think you were just sharing with us in the last 30 days. Was it 30 days, 7 days? Tell me what you were just telling me.
Yesterday, we had 30 days, 30 homes come on the market just yesterday.
Just yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Normally it would be like 10, 12, 19 would be max on a Friday.
Yeah. And you're in Asheville, North Carolina. So that's a big number for one day.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
For those of us, for those that are listening down in Miami, they're like, oh, that's an average day.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
in Asheville, North Carolina, that's a huge number, isn't it?
Yes,
All
absolutely.
right. So you got 30 new listings going on the market in one day. Meanwhile, listings are already sitting. So what you're going to see is you're going to see that the market is moving from a hot seller's market, less than 30 days of inventory, to a market that is more balanced, let's say 90 days of inventory. Now, I'm telling you it's coming, and some of you are going to go, no, you're wrong, John. Just wait, okay? It's going to go from 90 days to 6 months. And from 6 months, who knows? I can tell you, and I'm not saying this market shift is going to be anything like the market shift we had back in 2008. It may not be. It may. It could be worse. Who knows? And I only mean worse. I'm not being negative, guys, because this is a skill-based market, and I want you to hear opportunity. I don't want you to hear doom and gloom. Super important. I want you to hear this is a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a good thing for those of us who master our skills in order to be a skill-based real estate agent. Back in 2008, in certain price ranges, we had more than 12 months of inventory. In some situations, there were 3 years of inventory. Now, when you've got 36 homes for sale in a price range and one is selling every 30 days, you got to be the one in order to get your home sold. And that's not easy to do. It's actually very, very hard to do. So the first thing I want to do, and this is repeat, guys, for those of you who meet with me every day, sorry. What I want you to do is I want you to just do a really quick math formula equation with me in order to be able to determine what the supply and demand is in your market. So A is active listings on the market within a 2 to 3 mile radius of your subject property in a $50,000 price range. So for example, 500 to 550 within a 2 to 3 mile radius of your subject property. Those are your actives. B is solds. Same price range, same location, and I want you to go back 6 months. Now, the reason we're going back 6 months is because of the math equation, and we need the data to make the math work. That's it. Super simple. C is I want you to take B, and I want you to divide it by 6. And what that's going to give you is it's going to give you the number of homes that are selling every 30 days. Then D is A divided by C. You're taking the number of active listings divided by the number of listings that are selling every 30 days. And that is going to tell you how many months of inventory you have within a price range. Now, when you find that you're moving into a market that's 90 days of inventory or more, pricing becomes really important. All right. When there's less than 30 days of inventory, well, you're in a market like this. Okay. The market's going up here. The market's going up. Life is good. You could take a property that's valued at $500,000. You can list it for $525,000 and it's still going to sell. It's still going to sell because there's less than 30 days of inventory. You've got between 500 and 550, you have 6 homes for sale and 6 are selling every 30 days. That's the market you were in 6 months ago, a year ago. It's not the market you're in today. In that market, you can overprice and it'll still sell. Now, the market's also moving. It's moving up to the price. So even if it's overpriced, the market will eventually catch up with it. Now, what happens when you get into a market where there's 90 days of inventory is the market starts to flatten out. Remember I said it happens slowly and then it happens suddenly. If we looked at this back in 2006 as our example, the market moved from 0 to 30 days of inventory to 90 days of inventory, and things started to slow down. Prices didn't really start to drop. Go back and look. It took a year for the prices to really start to drop. And then around 2008, the market was dropping, and it was dropping fast. And it dropped for the next 4 years. It wasn't until 2012 when we hit the bottom and prices started to come back. But what's interesting, in that market, a lot of the experts were predicting that we're going to have a V-shaped market. In other words, prices are going to drop, they're going to hit the bottom, and they're going to come back at the same rate that they dropped. In reality, what ended up happening is it looked more like a U. And that's how it usually looks. And you'd have to go all the way to 2016 for homes to be worth the same amount of money they were worth in 2008. So anybody who didn't get it right in 2008 and their home sat and it didn't sell, they found themselves a year later in a home that was worth more than it was when they first started trying to sell their home. And a lot of those homeowners found themselves in a position where they can no longer afford to sell. Now, unfortunately, a lot of those homeowners lost their home to either foreclosure or short sales. And those who hung on, it was 8 years later before the home was worth exactly what it was back in 2016. So the conversation that I want you to have at the kitchen table when you're on a listing appointment, and all of this is part of the conversation, by the way, as a local economist of choice, you are educating your customers on the market. You're educating your customers on how the real estate market works. And when I say this is a skill-based market, I mean, and this is a time when the market needs professional real estate agents who know how to have these conversations. A year ago, it didn't matter. It matters now. You need to be able to explain to homeowners the same way I'm explaining to you how the real estate market works. You also need to know your local market better than anybody else does. In other words, how many homes are for sale? What's the average days on market for active listings in your market today compared to 6 months ago and a year ago? What are the days on market for properties that are going on under contract? What's the difference for days on market between the homes that are going under contract versus those active listings? It's going to be significantly less. Now, look at homes that went under contract without a price reduction versus homes that went under contract with a price reduction. They're on the market considerably longer when they have a price reduction. It takes longer to sell their home if it sells, and a lot of them won't. And look at the list price to sell price ratio. These are all numbers, again, that you need to know as a local economist of choice. If I price my home right to start with, am I getting 98 to 99% of the asking price? Versus if I have a price reduction and it sells, remember a lot of them don't, what's the list price to sell price ratio then? It's going to be considerably lower. All right, so what do we do? Well, you want to price in front of the market. So let's go back to this model right here. It's 2023. We've got this property that the seller wants 525. The market data is saying 500, and the seller wants to price it up here at 525. Well, the market has shifted. Prices are dropping, and this property was $25,000 overpriced to begin with, and it's more overpriced the next day, and the next week even more overpriced. And eventually the seller is going to say, okay, lower the price, but the problem is the market's here now. And they end up chasing the market down and ultimately sell their home for considerable amount of money less than they would have if they would have got the price right to begin with. Now, what about those of you who have listings and they're not selling? How do you have this conversation with them? Well, it's the same way. And in order to get those homes sold, you're going to have to make an adjustment. You're going to have to make a pretty significant adjustment. All right. So script, we're looking at 5 to 10% or not at all. We're going to make an adjustment in order to get where the buyers are, in order to get in front of the market. You can either script, you can either chase the market, or you can create the market. Now, which one do you want to do? Now, remember, sellers go to script school too. And you're going to start hearing, I don't want to give my home away. Here's what I want you to say when you hear that. I understand. And if we sold your home today for $480,000, we're talking to that same buyer who wanted the list for 525, or maybe they did list at 525 and we need to get the price down. If you sold your home for 485 today, and a year from now your home is worth 450, did you give your home away? A year from now, you're in Atlanta because that's where you're moving to in order to be with your family. And you've spent the last year with your family, enjoying your family, or you're still in your home, you're not with your family, and your home is worth $25,000 less than it was a year ago. Which one of those do you want to choose? Because in order to sell your home, we're going to have to make a significant adjustment to get your home sold, and you're not giving it away. Besides, you spent the last year with your family. How much is that worth? At the end of the day, what's more important, $25,000 or a year with your family? Now, 5 years from now, when you look back on that, are you going to regret the decision, or are you going to be happy you made the decision that you did? Where does your heart stop? If you have a listing at 525, ask your seller, what's your bottom line? It's just you and me. I'm not going to share this with anybody else, but it's an important conversation. Where does your heart stop? At what price are you not selling your home? We're at 525 right now. If we had an offer for 500,000, what would you do? If you had a crystal ball and you knew the right price was 500,000, would you rather sell for 500,000 in the next 30 days? or 6 months from now? What's your holding cost? How much money are you paying monthly for your mortgage, interest, taxes? If it's $4,000 a month, 6 months from now, you've lost $24,000 in holding cost. You just lost the money you were trying to make when you could have sold it at the right price in 30 days. Now, takeaways are powerful. All right. So for those sellers who are just digging in their heels and they're not going to make a change, I want you to send them an updated supply and demand analysis. I want you to send them an updated market analysis on their home. And I also want you to send them an adjustment or an addendum, two addendums. One is to lower the price. The other is to cancel the listing. And ask them to sign one of them. I'm sending you a market analysis, my price suggestion, and I'm sending you an addendum to adjust the price. I'm also sending you an addendum to cancel the listing. You sign whichever one you want to sign. When sellers know that you're not attached to the outcome, and when they know that you're giving them advice based on what's best for them, not advice based on you getting a commission check. Do you care about me? Can I trust you? Do you know what you're doing? 3 questions that every seller is asking themselves about you. And if I'm willing to cancel the listing, I'm certainly not giving you advice based on me getting a commission check. I'm giving you advice based on helping you do the right thing. Now, the easy thing to do is to take that listing at a higher price. The easy thing to do is to just let that listing sit. The hard thing to do is to have difficult conversations in order to help your clients make the right decisions. They'll tell them, I'm choosing to take the difficult choice. I'm going to fight for you to get your home sold. Observation, forecasts, persuasion. All right, observation is, this is what I see. Based on the data, remember, let the data do the heavy lifting. Let the data be the bad guy. Based on the data, this is what I'm seeing. Based on what I'm seeing, here's where we're going. This is the market we're headed to. Everything I see, I'm talking to you guys, everything I see, everything I hear from you is telling me that we are moving to a market that is 4, 5, 6 months of inventory. Now, when that happens, we go from a market where there were 3 buyers and 1 home for sale. Now you have 3 buyers fighting over that 1 home. Prices go up. We are moving to a market where there are going to be 3 sellers for every 1 buyer. Now, those sellers are competing with each other for that 1 buyer. How do sellers compete? There's only one way. Lower the price. What's going to happen to the market when that happens? Prices are going to drop. It's reality. It's not negativity. It's just reality. All right, guys, talk to me.
I was telling Gina yesterday, before I had this conversation with my seller, I've dug into the data so much, and it's been a really good, because obviously I've never been in this kind of market. So it was so good to be able to dig into the data and really be confident walking in to discuss it with her.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
I mean, and the data doesn't lie, that's
Nope.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's an X-ray. All right. I'm looking at the X-ray. Your arm's broken. No, it's not. I feel fine. It's broken. No, I'm good. I'm telling you, your arm is broken. Kelly, this gives you such an advantage. when you are on a listing appointment. You are competing at a level where your competition doesn't even know there's a competition. Nathan, what do you think?
No, I love this conversation, and it's really it's happening all across the country. You know, Kelly, you know, you guys are, you know, far from us, and we're far from you. And Gina, you're saying the same thing, and and we're experiencing that same type of noise or smell in the air. And I love, I love the thought that we're having these conversations so that we could be ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Which will bring us value to our clients. And Charlene, you're going on a listing appointment tomorrow. I think this is like perfect for you right now, to have that conversation with your seller.
There you go.
Hey, Nathan, and John, I'm excited about this information this morning. I can't wait to like study it and master it. Nathan, my appointment was pushed back to next week, but that's okay. It's still on. So this gives me a chance to really dig into this information and share that.
Good.
You know, and with that thought right now, Charlene, what I'm thinking about, like, you can look at the data now and then look at the data coming up close to the next week and see the difference. And you can really see that the market is going that way. It's going like that fast. So this is actually good for you.
It really is. Thank you.
Being able to have those days to really dig in is very crucial before that appointment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate that.
If your appointment was tomorrow and it's been pushed to next week, look at the homes that came on the market between tomorrow and the actual date of the appointment. All right. Show them. Since we last spoke, here's the new listings that you're now competing with.
Yes.
You know, John, there's evidence that we're not seeing, or we are seeing, I guess I should say, a lot of homes that have been on the market. It was very eye-opening because Kelly and I were working simultaneously and texting each other yesterday, and 148 days on the market with no price reduction.
There you go.
I'm flipping out. It's like, and you could see that agents aren't having these conversations. They're not being coached like you're doing for us, because if they were, they wouldn't be sitting there like that. And it's not just one. I mean, it was many and many. Yeah. And then there was one, Kelly, right? $100,000 price reduction.
There you go.
And over time, of course, but that house was still sitting on the market.
Still overpriced.
But that's like five price reductions on that one home. But it's been sitting at 81 days, I think.
It was really long. Yeah, it hadn't pushed 90 yet, but still, it was overpriced to begin with, but it's still overpriced. It is absolutely still overpriced. So it's awesome for us to be able to absorb this, because now we are not just, we're ahead. So thank you.
I would show that listing to a client on a listing appointment, and I would ask them, what do you think would have happened if they would have started $100,000 lower versus chasing the price down 100,000? What do you think?
And honestly, 81 days ago was a different market than it is today,
The market 30 days from now is going to be very different than the market you're seeing right now. Okay. And remember, everybody, whether you're listening to this on YouTube or you're part of our group here, this is not meant to scare you. This is not meant to depress you.
This is like more opportunity, John.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you can call the expired listing and you can, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm going to have a conversation with you that perhaps may make you feel uncomfortable, but I'd rather just tell you something that you need to know if you're still in the market to sell, rather than you experiencing this frustration that you've been experiencing the last 6 months. Let's have this conversation, and those conversations are going to be available.
There you go.
That and your buyers. I'm calling buyers that have been put on hold saying, hey, this is a phenomenal time to buy. You want to get back at it? We can get you a deal.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go. There you go. All right, everybody, that's a wrap.